Today is a brand new challenge, and that is can Paul defeat every single Elite Four member, and there is over 30 of them, with the Elite Four being a whole different challenge for Paul and Electivire. Could he do it? If a Pokemon faints, it's gone from the whole run and I can't use any items in battle. Full rules are in the description below. Let's get started. Our first Elite Four stop is Kanto, and our first member we face is Lorelei, the Ice type Elite Four specialist. Our Pokemon are level 64, so we are under the cap. Our lead is Electabuzz and she leads off with Dugong. We outspeed and an electrifying Thunder Punch does a solid amount to Dugong, basically half, as he sets up a double team. The evasion boost doesn't matter for him though, as one more punch to the face and down Dugong goes. Lorelei's second Pokemon is Piloswine, and we've got to switch. I go into Murkrow on the incoming Earthquake to dodge it, then I swap into Magmar on the Ice move, but Piloswine misses his Blizzard. With a fiery flamethrower, Magmar takes down Piloswine in a fight he's not that much useful in. Lorelei's next Pokemon is Cloyster. We've got to swap, sit into Metagross we go, as we dodge his Supersonic on the switch. We then connect to Meteor Mash as we dodge yet another Supersonic, and no confusion for us today. With a final Metal Fist, we take down Cloyster, and so far so good. Lapras is out next, and we don't need to switch. We connect another Steel type attack and do a massive chunk to the Transport Pokemon, and in return we take a good chunk of damage from a Surf. But with another Metal Fist, we defeat her 5th Pokemon, leaving only one left. And that Pokemon is Jinx. Oh, how I loved using her in the Nurse Joy run. We take a weak Ice Beam and then deliver a final strike to Lorelei's team with a Meteor Mash, and with that we have defeated our first Elite Four member. 3 more to go in Kanto. Second on the list is Bruno, the fighting type Elite Four member, who also has 2 steel types, but let's forget about that. I think we match up pretty well versus his team, so let's do it. Our lead is Magmar, and Bruno leads off with Steelix. Bulky as they are defensively, especially defensively, they are not so much. So with a flamethrower from our Magmar, we melt the first Steel Snake. Bruno now sees his second Steelix as the answer to our Magmar. Unfortunately for him, it meets the same fate as his first Steelix, and Magmar's putting in some solid work. Hitmonchan is Bruno's third Pokemon. We outspeed and a Psychic brings him low as a Rock Slide does a massive amount of damage to us. Not risking dying to a Mach Punch, I swap into Metagross as Bruno goes for a full restore. The next turn we hit a super effective Aerial Ace. Yes, this bulky metal Pokemon can fly in the air, and that puts him in the red as Metagross dodges the Sky Uppercut. Bruno's next Pokemon is Hitmonlee. It doesn't have as good defense as Hitmonchan, so it goes down to a single Aerial Ace too. His final Pokemon and his ace is Machamp. An Aerial Ace does a massive chunk to him as he retaliates with an Earthquake, putting Metagross at half. But our Metagross, who's the MVP so far, takes down Machamp with a final Aerial Ace, defeating our second Elite Four member. Let's keep this momentum going. Third is Agatha, the poison type specialist, with a mix of ghost types too. They have the potential to be quite a scary battle, but we have solid coverage, so I'm pretty confident. We lead off with Ursaring, and Agatha leads off with Gengar. Gengar hits a Psychic, nearly taking Ursaring to half straight away, as we drop rocks on his head with Rock Slide and do over half back. We get lucky turn 2 and dodge a Hypnosis, and we connect a Rock Slide to deal with the first Gengar. Agatha now sends out Crobat. We get confused because it's not a Pokehound run without us being confused, but we break through and a Rock Slide nearly takes out the poison bat. Agatha now full restores, and we snap out of confusion and deliver another Rock Slide. Crobat now hits a Sludge Bomb doing massive damage and doesn't poison us, so with a last rock attack we take down Crobat. On Arbok we swap into Metagross as he sets up a double team. The next turn we can hit an Earthquake to take out the snake in just one move. Up next, Agatha chooses Mischievous. We go into Aggron and get hit by a Thunderbolt, and we get paralyzed. We get Thunderbolted again, but we connect a Rock Slide, putting her in the red. Agatha full restores up, but we just keep doing massive damage. We take another Thunderbolt to low before we take out the pesky little ghost. Finally, Agatha's last Pokemon, Gengar. I swap into Electabuzz as he hits a Thunderbolt for a weak amount of damage. The next turn we outspeed and deliver an electrifying fist to his face, and we critical hit. However, Gengar repays the favour with a critical hit Psychic. We know we are faster, so with a last electric attack, we take down Gengar, beating Agatha. With that, there's only one last person in Kanto to face. And that is Lance, the Dragon-type Elite Four specialist. He's got a strong team, but we do have a little bit of ice coverage, so I'm not sure how this is going to go. We lead off with Ursaring, and Lance chooses Gyarados. Straight away, his Intimidate lowers our attack, so we Swords Dance to raise it. Then Gyarados Thunder Waves us, activating our ability Guts. Gyarados sets up a Dragon Dance, and we get Parahaxed. That's bad. He Dragon Dances again, but thankfully we break through and destroy this thing with a Rock Slide. Lance now chooses Kingdra next. It hits a Surf that does a massive amount of damage as we get Parahaxed again. For some reason, Kingdra Dragon Dances the next turn, so we hit a Stab Guts boosted return for the one-hit knockout. Feeling incredibly ballsy, I stay in and Dragonite misses a Hyper Beam as we get Parahaxed. That is a universe begging me to switch. So I do, and I go into Metagross on the incoming Hyper Beam that does practically nothing. Dragonite is recharging and a Rock Slide brings him super low. Dragonite then hits a Flamethrower doing a great amount of damage before we take him down with a final Rock Slide. Next up is Aerodactyl. This is a threat, so I swap into Murkrow on the Earthquake. Aerodactyl then throws rocks at us, nearly taking us out in just one attack, before we get off an Icy Wind for half damage and lowering his speed stat. Now we have to switch, so I go into Electabuzz as we dodge a Hyper Beam. We then hit a Thunder Punch to put Aerodactyl on just a sliver as we dodge yet another Hyper Beam. Lance full restores the Ancient Bird before we bring him back low with a Thunder Punch. Thanks to the Icy Wind, we are faster, and one last electrifying Thunder Punch ends a prehistoric bird. His ace and last Pokemon, a level 72 Dragonite, is next. Electabuzz hits a Thunder Punch for barely nothing, and an Outrage nearly takes us out of a critical hit. I swap into Aggron, who resists the Outrage, and it does nothing to us. Dragonite gets confused but has a Lumberry, and that removes the confusion. Dragonite now Thunderbolts us, bringing us lower and paralysing us, as our Ice Punch does a lot of damage. We get hit by another Thunderbolt, and thankfully we break through paralysis, get a better damage roll, and take out Dragonite with an Ice move, beating Lance and defeating Kanto's Elite Four. Let's head off to Johto. So for Johto, we're doing the remakes. This allows us to have our full, powerful team. We can now add an Electivire, Torterra, Weavile, and Honchkrow to our team for this Elite Four. To start off, we have Will, the Psychic type specialist. Our best lead is Weavile, and Will leads with Xatu. We connect an Ice Punch turn 1 to straight up knock out the Psychic bird. Executor is Will's second Pokemon, and he takes an Ice Punch to one of his many faces, but he survives barely and sets up a Reflect, boosting his team's defense. Will full restores as we're still doing half with our Ice Punches. He lives on a Sliver once again and throws an Egg Bomb at us before we take him down with Weavile. Slowbro is Will's third Pokemon and we've got to switch, so I go into Torterra as he sets up a Curse, boosting his attack and defense. Torterra is faster now, and with a critical hit Woodhammer we obliterate Slowbro in just one Grass move. Jinx is out and we know how deadly this thing can be. It puts us to sleep with a lovely Kiss and delivers its own Ice Punch that Torterra barely survives. We've got to switch, so I go into Electivire for the first time. We eat the Ice Punch on the switch in, the next turn we outspeed, and with a blazing critical hit Fire Punch we end Jinx. Will's last Pokemon is another Xatu, but it can't stand to the electric power of our Electivire and falls to a single attack, beating our first Johto Elite Four member. Second is Koga. He's a poison type specialist and a lot of his team are weak to fire though, so this should be an easy one. Our lead is Torterra and he leads off with Ariados. I miss a Stone Edge turn 1 and Ariados traps us with Spider's Web. We then miss another Stone Edge and take a critical hit Poison Jab, putting us at half. We then miss a third Stone Edge, get hit again, and now we get poisoned. This is not looking good. Thankfully, we finally hit a Stone Edge, and that one hit knocks out the Spider. This now means we can swap and save Torterra. Koga chooses Venomoth, so I switch into Electivire, as we take a little bit of damage from Psychic. We can then heat up our fist and deliver a Fire Punch for another one-hit knockout. Forretress is Bug and Steel type, so it's 4 times weak to a Fire Punch, but it lives on like 1 HP and hits a Swift. Koga now full restores, but our next Fire Punch rolls better and down he goes. Koga chooses Muck next. I swap into Aggron as he goes for a Gunk Shot, which doesn't affect us. The next turn we deal with a Poison Sludge with an Earthquake. Koga's final Pokemon is Crobat. It sets up a double team, boosting his evasion, but we connect a Rock Slide, bringing him to the red. Crobat heals a little with his berry before hitting a pathetic Wing Attack, and Aggron picks up the final blow with a final Rock Slide. It's time for the third Elite Four member of Johto. Johto. The third Elite Four in Johto is Bruno again. He is a repeat, so I didn't really want to do him, but we don't have a choice to progress. It's a really easy fight. We set up Calm Minds with Honchkrow and Hitmontop, as he can only quick attack us and spam counter. Then we proceed to Air Cutter Hitmontop for the one-hit KO. Hitmonchan goes down in one move as well. Onix has poor special defense, so it falls to a single Dart Pulse. Machamp then falls to a single Air Cutter, and finally Hitmonlee falls to a single Air Cutter too. That makes super quick work of a repeat. Our final Elite Four member for the Johto region is Karen, and she's a Dark-type specialist. With our powerhouse of a team this generation, I don't think this should be an issue either. Our lead is Torterra, and Karen leads off with Umbreon. I set up Stealth Rocks turn 1 as she hits a payback for a weak amount of damage. We then Earthquake to bring Umbreon to half as he boosts his evasion with a double team. This doesn't matter though, as Torterra connects an Earthquake, taking out her first team member. Karen sends out Murkrow, and he hits a super effective Pluck, putting us below half, but after Stealth Rocks, a Stone Edge makes short work of the Crow. Karen chooses my favourite Pokemon next, Houndoom, and we've got to switch. So I go into Electivire on the Flamethrower that still does a massive amount of damage to us. Playing it risky as I always do, I go for a Brick Break. Thankfully we are faster, so a fighting type attack finishes off Houndoom. Next is Gengar. I have to switch, so Honchkrow is the play. We take damage from Focus Blast, and this is going to be a close call. I stay in, take another Focus Blast to 12 HP before taking down Gengar with a Dart Pulse. Karen's last Pokemon is Vileplume. I switch to Aggron as he hits a Petal Dance. We then connect an Ice Punch, nearly taking it out, but not quite. Vileplume then Petal Dances again to put us on only 34 HP. I know Karen will probably full restore, so I stay in. She does heal, and an Ice Punch brings her back down. With a final Freezing Punch, Aggron takes out Karen, beating Johto's Elite Four, and now it's time to head over to Hoenn's Elite Four. In Hoenn, we have some pretty strong Elite Four members, and the first one is Sidney. Back-to-back Dark Elite Four members now. We are doing the rematches too, so their teams are even stronger with Mega Evolutions. Sidney's lead is Scrafty, and we lead off with Honchkrow. We are intimidated, but it doesn't bother us. We're faster, and an Air Cutter brings him to the red as he hits a Brick Break for a little damage. Sidney now full restores up Scrafty, but we bring him all the way back down with another Air Cutter. With a final Flying type move, we deal with his first Pokemon. Second, Sidney sends out Mandibuzz. Our best option is to swap into Electivire as he sets up a Tailwind, so his team will be faster for the remainder of it. We take a Feint Attack that does nothing, and a Wild Charge obliterates the Dark Bird, and we take some hefty recoil too. Third, Sidney chooses Shiftry. It goes for a Fake Out, putting us now at below half. I play it risky and stay in. We eat a Leaf Blade, but now we are really low, and then we take out Shiftry with a fiery Fire Punch. Sidney now sends out Absol, so I swap into Aggron, and a Dart Pulse does nearly half on the switch. That really hurt. I decide to stay in. We take another Dart Pulse to 12 HP before getting a one-hit knockout on the Absol. Wait, it's actually Zoroark. I forgot about this thing. Sharpedo is the next Pokemon, and we've got to switch. I go into Torterra, who eats the Aqua Jet quite nicely. Sharpedo then crunches, bringing Torterra to nearly half as a Wood Hammer destroys the Shark, but after Rough Skin and Recoil, Torterra is severely weakened. Now is his ace, Absol. I swap into Honchkrow as he Mega Evolves, and we tank the Aerial Ace decently. I now get hit by a Slash that critical hits, putting us on only 8 HP as I go for a Roost. That was super close. I play it risky now and take another Slash, no critical hit, and we Air Cutter, bringing Absol low. I don't want to risk Honchkrow now, so I swap into Weavile, and it was a good choice as he critical hits another Slash. Weavile is super fast though, so with a Freezing Ice Punch, we defeat Elite Four number 1 of Hoenn. Up next is Phoebe, the Ghost type specialist of the Elite Four. We have some Dark types, so maybe we can even get a Weavile sweep. So Phoebe leads off with Banette, and we lead off with Weavile. I immediately set up a Swords Dance to put us at a +2 attack as Banette goes for a Grudge. I completely forgot what Grudge does, so I go for a knockoff for the one-hit knockout, but in the process I just lost all of the PP for my Dark type move, so now we definitely can't sweep. Phoebe's next Pokemon is Chandelure, and we definitely have to switch. I go into Honchkrow as the Flamethrower does a massive amount of damage to us. This thing is a threat. I have speed investment in Honchkrow, and thankfully we are faster, so a super effective Dart Pulse takes him down. Phoebe sends out Mismagius third, and the Rock or Electric move is coming, so I swap into Electivire as she goes for a Power Gem for a little bit amount of damage. We outspeed and a Wild Charge destroys the Ghost, but we once again take recoil, the downside of this powerful electric attack. She now sends out Drifblim and there is no way I'm swapping. Another Wild Charge and another one-hit knockout. But after Aftermath, its ability and recoil, we're left on only 10 HP. That was a very risky play. Dusknoir is Phoebe's next choice and I swap into Aggron. We take an Ice Punch extremely well. We then outspeed and connect to Rock Slide, doing just over half as he hits a Hex, but we don't have any status so it doesn't do too much. With one more Rock Slide, we take down Dusknoir, leaving only one Pokemon left, and that's Sableye. She Mega Evolves as we connect to Rock Slide, doing massive damage, but a Foul Play severely hurts us. We miss our next Rock Slide and a Foul Play puts us in the red. That's super unlucky. We've got to switch now, so I go into Torterra, who's been a solid Pokemon so far, and the Foul Play does nearly half to us too. We are faster, and with 100% accuracy Earthquake, we take down Mega Sableye, defeating Phoebe and putting us halfway through Hoenn's Elite Four. Third up is Glacia, the Ice-type specialist. We have a few rock moves and fire coverage, so I'm not too worried, but her team still looks pretty solid. Glacia leads off with Abomasnow, and we lead off with Ursaring. Abomasnow sets up the hail thanks to its ability Snow Warning, so we'll be taking chip damage. We are faster, and a return puts him on literally a sliver, as Abomasnow goes for a Wood Hammer, doing over half to us. But because of the Wood Hammer, he takes just enough recoil to take himself out in the process. Ursaring takes a little bit of hail damage, and out next is Beartick. We have to switch. So I choose to go into our powerhouse Electivire. Beartick goes for a Brick Break, which does good damage, and after hail we've lost a quarter. We outspeed Beartick and a Fire Punch critically hits him, taking down the Ice Bear in just one swift attack. Third, Glacia chooses Frostlass. If we took down Beartick in one move, Frostlass has no chance and she succumbs to the flames with a Fire Punch. Glacia chooses Walrein as her next Pokemon and he's part Water type, so I go for a massive Wild Charge that obliterates him. However, we take a huge amount in recoil and after hail, we're not looking so healthy. I get greedy and expect a Fire Punch to kill, but Vanillix lives on 1 HP, but gets burned and hits an Ice Beam, putting Electivire on only 15 HP. Thankfully, the hail stopped or Electivire falls there. That is really lucky. Last but not least is Glalie. We swap into Aggron as he Mega Evolves, but he hits a weak Ice Shard as he saw the kill on Electivire. Glalie now seals his fate by setting up the hail, and with a super effective Stab Rock Slide, Aggron picks up the knockout on the Mega, beating our third Elite Four member of Hoenn, and one more left to go. The last Elite Four member is Drake. He's a Dragon type specialist and his team is strong, and he has a Mega Salamence. But Paul is a top trainer with a powerhouse team, so I'm not worried. Let's do this. Drake's lead is Altaria and we lead off with Torterra. We outspeed and get up Stealth Rocks, which will help chip away at his team, as he sets up a Cotton Guard, drastically increasing his defense. Now our Stone Edge just barely misses out on doing half as we take a super effective Aerial Ace. We hit another Stone Edge and now we put him in range to heal, as Aerial Ace puts us on half too. It takes 5 Stone Edge hits to finally take down this thing, and our Torterra is severely weakened. Drake now chooses Kingdra and this thing could be scary. I swap into Electivire, who has a Dragon move, and this should help us with Drake. On the swap, we get hit by an Ice Beam that does okay damage to us. The next turn, we outspeed and a Dual Chop after Stealth Rocks does enough to get the knockout. Drake chooses Haxorus third, and I see no reason to swap. We Dual Chop again, and it's going to be close, but thanks to Stealth Rocks, it looks like we just do enough damage for another knockout. Electivire is truly a beast. Now Drake chooses Flygon, and this thing is an issue for Electivire, so we have to switch. I go into Honchkrow as he just goes for a Screech, lowering our defense. We then get hit from a Boom Burst, dealing nearly half, as our Dark Pulse does a massive amount back to him. We take a Boom Burst, weakening our Honchkrow before a final Dark Pulse finishes him off. Dragalge is next, so we swap into Ursaring. He critical hits a Thunderbolt and paralyzes us, but that gives us Guts. We now barely hang on from a Sludge Wave, but we get Parahax. Ursaring survives, but is unfortunately not going to be able to do anything. I swap into Aggron on the Poison move to resist it, and then we take down Dragalge with a super effective Earthquake. Now Drake sends out his ace, Salamence. It takes 25% to Stealth Rocks and intimidates us, lowering our attack. Salamence hits a weak Crunch, and we hit an Ice Punch, putting him in the red. Drake now heals Salamence, and with a Freezing Fist that critical hits, we take down Mega Salamence, beating Drake and Hoenn's Elite Four. That wraps up episode 1. This is so fun to do, and fighting Megas I haven't seen for years is a trip down memory lane. Next week we take on Sinnoh, Unova and Kalos' Elite Four, so don't forget to tune in. Subscribe if you haven't already to get notified when I'm next uploading a video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.